So I'm going to be reading the entire Housemaid Trilogy by Freida McFadden. I'm going to be binging them all back to back. It's my mom's favorite series and she swears that I'm going to love it. Mystery isn't necessarily my favorite genre, but we shall see how it goes. I know that this series and this author in general are extremely hyped, and I have to know what everyone is talking about. I'm nosy. I want to know everything. So we're going to be diving into the series together. I'm going to be letting you guys know if it is worth it and if all the hype is worth it. And you guys get to come along on this journey with me. Alright, so we are obviously starting off with book 1, The Housemaid. Do I know anything about the series? No. I know it's a mystery. I know it's about a housemaid. And we're going to see how it goes. So I'm now on chapter 4, so I just wanted to pop in and tell you what this book is about. We are following our main character, Millie, who has sort of this dark past, and she ends up taking up this housekeeping job. And she honestly didn't think she would get this job because of her past, but she ends up getting it. And the lady that she's working for, her name is Nina, and she is pretty much this rich lady who gives off very weird vibes. And the room that Millie is staying in also has like a creepy vibe to it, and that there's like scratches on the wall. The door only locks from the outside, things like that. This book is honestly kind of feeling a bit more like a thriller than a mystery at this point. The prologue definitely had a bit of a mystery to it, and that our main character is getting interviewed by the police because of a dead body. So I'm very interested to see where that comes into play in this story. But so far I'm feeling like thriller vibes, like it's a weird creepy house, weird creepy people that she's working for, unreliable narrator considering her past. We haven't really gotten any like in-depth things about Millie's past yet, so I don't know, but I'm feeling like she's an unreliable narrator. I feel like I'm reading this book really fast, like the writing and the pacing of the story is very fast. I'm not really sure how to describe the writing style of this story so far. I don't want to say it's easy, but it flows very fast, and it's sort of the kind of book you read without using too much brain power, if that makes sense. But we shall see how it goes. I'm gonna go continue reading this and I will update you guys later. So I'm just over 100 pages through this book, and I wanted to talk about some of my thoughts and feelings so far on this. So I have found out the alleged scandal with this author and with this book series, and that is that a lot of people think that this book was plagiarized, and I ended up figuring out this controversy a little earlier. I was going to do more research after I finished the first book, but when I was reading sort of like the first 50 pages of this book, it was really reminding me of another book, so I went to Google to try and figure out what book this was reminding me of, and the book that everyone is comparing this one to is The Last Miss Parrish, I believe is the title, and I have never read that book, so I cannot confirm or say anything on that. The vibes that I was honestly getting from this book was more The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware or like The Family Upstairs by Lisa Jewell. Those are two books that I have read that I would say are very similar to this one, but that is obviously not what the whole alleged plagiarism thing is based off of, so I don't know, but I would compare it more to those two books. Very similar sort of vibe, I suppose. But yes, I do have some opinions on this book so far. But in this book, Nina, who is the rich lady who hires our main character to be her housekeeper, she is a very unlikable sort of, she is described in this book as having mental disorders and having been in a psychiatric hospital before, and a lot of people in this book, sort of side characters, are calling her some not nice things related to her mental health, and we as the reader don't really know if she does have mental health problems or not, or what is really going on. But I just have to say that if mental health is the actual, like, crux of this book, if it makes Nina do bad things or be like the villain of this story, then I'm not going to like this book, because I do not want mental health to be played up as some really bad thing that makes people do bad things. I'm not here for it. I don't want to read it. And that's making me very hesitant to, I guess, continue on this book. I'm obviously going to. It's a very quick read, but it's making me very hesitant to enjoy it, because I don't want to enjoy this book and then there be these problems in it. Also, our main character, Millie, she's also not likable. I kind of find her boring and annoying. Like, she knows that Nina, who is her boss, does not like her doing certain things, specifically with her husband, and yet our main character, Millie, is constantly talking about how this dude, his name is Andrew, is like her perfect guy, how she's so aware of him, how he's the only good thing going on with this job, things like this. She also has like this weird crush with the gardener, and it's also written very weird. He is Italian, he doesn't speak English, and she's constantly, in the beginning of the book, talking to him in Spanish. And it's just, I don't know, it's very weird. This book is definitely fast-paced. I definitely see why it is so hyped up. It's one of those books that's really easy to read. It's not dense, it's not slow, it's short chapters, fast pacing, something's always happening every chapter, everything's a little creepy, a little off. I definitely get it. Is it my personal taste? Not necessarily, but I definitely understand why it is so palatable, I guess. Is there a lot to it? No, I think it is extremely tropey and surface level, but like, I get it. So yeah, that's where I'm at in this book. I'm not sure how I'm going to feel about it. I'm definitely going to finish this one tonight. It is getting later, so I probably won't update you guys on this book until tomorrow morning, but I will definitely be finishing it tonight, and we will start book 2 tomorrow, but we will see how it goes. Good morning. It is the next day, and as you might have seen from the little clips that I did in fact finish the first book, and I also started book 2 in the series, so we're making great progress, but let me catch you guys up. So The Housemaid, I finished this, I gave it 2 stars. I can see why people enjoy this book. It's definitely one of those popcorn reads where you can easily pick it up, finish it. It's very quick. It's very engaging. I think last time I said it was a little simple, a little basic. It's very tropey, which is exactly why it's one of those books that like anyone can pick up and find enjoyment in. And I don't fault the book for that at all. Like, it's not really my thing. Also, I would say this is more of a thriller kind of series than a mystery. I've always heard people talk about it as a mystery, and I would say it's more of a thriller, although the actual back of the book says it's a psychological suspense, so I don't know. Either way, this book, I'm not really sure where I left off at, but I can say that part 1 of this book was my least favorite. It's the most simplistic, basic. I hated all of the characters. Our main character, Millie, is such an unlikable character. So she's working for this very rich couple. She's their housemaid, and she has these attractions to the rich dude she works for. And like, Millie knows that it is wrong of her to feel these feelings towards this guy, and also he's married. She does not like this lady that she works for, and everyone's constantly saying that this woman has been institutionalized and she's on a whole lot of mental health medications. And I do know that I mentioned that before, that I was kind of skeptical of how that would work out, because like, I really hate it when authors use mental health as sort of this like plot twist in their books. And like, this one, I really didn't like how it was written in the beginning. I will say it got a little bit redeemed in part 2, but either way, our main character does not like this lady. She's like, oh, if she's, this lady with all these problems, then this rich guy definitely doesn't need to be with her. And she does end up sleeping with this guy. Yay, we just absolutely love cheating in books. She thinks she's justified in it. I did tab this scene after she wakes up the next morning from sleeping with this married dude. And I feel like this paragraph that I'm going to read really highlights this entire story and how it's written for you. So I'm just gonna read you guys this scene. I'm also going to put a picture of it somewhere on the screen so you can see what I'm reading. But it says, Andrew is married. I'm his maid. Last night he was drunk. It was a one-time thing. But for a moment I watched his handsome profile as he sleeps and allows myself to fantasize. Maybe he'll wake up and decide he's had enough of Nina and her bullshit. He'll decide he loves me and he wants me to live with him in his gorgeous, graded house. And then I can give him the baby he so badly wants, which Nina will never be able to do. I remember those obnoxious women at the PTA meeting saying that Andrew and Nina had an airtight prenup. He could leave her and it wouldn't even cost him that much money. Although I'm sure he'll be generous with her. So yeah, that is our main character that we're following. She is not a nice, good person. We do figure out her past secrets, and also I don't think I said at the beginning, obviously this vlog is going to have spoilers. I think I might have spoiled some things in the last clip too, but either way, obviously I'm going to be talking about spoilers. So our main character, her background and like her whole big secret background is that when she was a teenager, she did end up murdering a guy because he was taking advantage of her friend. So she hit him over the head and he died. And so she went to prison. And yeah, so that's sort of her past, her secret. And I'm not going to say that what she did was wrong. Helping her friend, all that, blah, blah, blah. I definitely understand her wanting to keep the secret and all that stuff, but her actual personality is just not good. She also has a crush on the landscaper, and that's also very weird because she has a crush on both of them at the same time, is trying to sleep with both of them. It's a very odd situation. Yeah, so part 2 of this book I actually thought was kind of fascinating. And we get the perspective of Nina, who is the rich housewife, and basically she's talking about how she just made it seem like she was crazy just because her husband is actually the bad one, and she wanted to get rid of him, and to do that she needed to find her a replacement for herself. And so that is why she ended up hiring a housemaid. Is she also a good person? Not really. I understand it. It was fascinating to read her perspective of the events leading up to where we currently are. I did find that very fascinating. Part 3, we are back inside of Millie's perspective, and she's with this rich dude. She managed to get him and to get rid of the rich lady. She basically won. And then she is coming to realize that this guy isn't perfect. He is actually a bit unhinged. He likes torturing and punishing people. And so yeah, she ends up at the end of this book killing this man. Obviously, rich lady comes back, tries to pretty much take the fall for it. She doesn't get any repercussions either because the officer who ends up coming to the rescue, he's the father of this guy's ex-wife before rich lady, and so he knows already that this dude is pretty bad. So everything kind of wraps up very neat and tidy. Obviously, our main character Millie ends up murdering another person, this time getting away with it. And it pretty much ends on sort of later on, in the future, where Millie is getting another housekeeping job, and it is alluded that she is taking these housekeeping jobs now in order to murder all of these women's husbands who are really bad. and that has promise. It reminds me of the one Elaine Fargo book. I can't think of the name, but I'll have the cover of it on the screen. And I do like that, of just like a woman taking revenge. However, that's not what the story is, so, and not here nor there. But I did give this 2 stars. I do like how fast-paced it was. I like how easy it was to read. But when I stopped to think about certain things in this book, I don't like these like individual elements. Like, I don't like the characters. I think there are some plot holes, specifically surrounding the daughter. I feel like we needed to know more about Nina's daughter, especially because the main character is constantly talking about how creepy this kid is, and I don't know. I feel like there needed to be some more around this daughter. Some other things. There's some holes in this book, but I didn't like that. The pacing, I feel, while it was fast-paced, I do think, again, some things just needed to be explained a little more. Especially at the end, there's a funeral scene at the end I forgot to mention, in which this dude's, his name's Andrew. I don't know if I've said that already, but Andrew's parents are obviously attending his funeral and allude that they were also part of this like whole torturing punishment kind of thing, and that's how he got started in it, because his parents did it to him. So I don't know, there's just like some things that are more interesting that I would have liked explained, and this book just didn't get into them. The atmosphere is not my thing. I can understand it. You got rich people, drama, PTA meetings, like you got the whole rich thing, this, lady who was in jail coming to live with rich people and experiencing all of that. It's just not my personal thing to read about, but like I can understand where people would enjoy that. And yeah, originally when I had finished this book last night, I was sitting at 3-star, and then the more I thought about it, the more like annoyed I got with this book, because I just really do not like Millie, which is so sad because she is the main character of the next 2 books, I believe. Or at least she's the main character in the second book, because I have started it. So let's talk about that one. So we have The Housemaid Secret. This is book 2. I actually have the audiobook of this one. My library had a wait on the first book for the audiobook, so I wasn't able to do that. But I did get it for book 2 and book 3, which is going to make it a lot better because I do have some things I need to get done. But while I was getting ready this morning, I was listening to the audiobook and I made it to page 78, which is chapter 16. So I am making some progress through this one. But this book takes place quite a few months after book 1, and we are following Millie, who is now trying to get her life together. So when I told you book 1 ended with Millie taking on these housekeeping jobs just to murder these men, that is not where she is at in book 2, which was honestly a big disappointment. I was kind of looking forward to that, but we just skip all of that, and now she is actually trying to get her life together. She is in college trying to get a social degree. She is dating this dude. I honestly forgot what he does. I don't know if he's like a CEO, a lawyer. I think he's a lawyer. But, she's living her life. She's trying to not fall back into her old habits of hurting people again, and yeah, we kind of just skip over the part that I found most interesting. But either way, she ends up taking this housekeeping job, again, for another rich couple. They live in a penthouse this time, and there is this guy, obviously, and he is the one who actually ends up hiring her this time, and his wife, he claims, is sick and just never leaves this one room. So very similar plot to the first one, but kind of switching these roles up. And yeah, it's very reminiscent of the first book. It's kind of repetitive in that our main character, Millie, is very concerned with this woman. She hears crying when she does the laundry for these people. She sees blood on this woman's nightgowns. She's just very concerned. She has all of these suspicions about this dude that she works for. And then, of course, we get more of her private life. She does have her own apartment, and she has this one creepy guy who is constantly watching her. And at the part where I just finished reading at, this guy ends up trying to assault her in the stairwell of her apartment, and she ends up pushing him down the stairs and kicking him. And one of her neighbors sees her kicking this guy, and so when the cops come, instead of arresting him and stuff, they're looking towards her, saying that, you know, her background of hurting people just makes her very violent. And so she's very upset about this, and she is now living with her very rich boyfriend, who she doesn't want to live with because he obviously does not know about her past or anything. And yeah, it's kind of similar, kind of repetitive. I don't have too much interest, specifically around this mystery about what's going on with this family. I just really don't care because I just know it's going to be similar to the first book. Domestic thrillers in general are just not really my thing. So that's definitely the problem, is that the series just isn't for me, and I knew that going into this, but again, it's super hyped up. My mom loves the series. I have to know what all the hype is about, so I'm reading it, but I don't care. And that's kind of where I'm at, so yeah. But I am going to continue listening to this audiobook, and I will check back in later. Alright, I'm 200 pages into The Housemaid Secret, and as predicted, this one is following the exact same formula as book one. As mentioned before, Millie had gone to work for this other rich family, and there was a woman who was stuck in a room, and she wouldn't leave that room, and the husband was telling Millie that this woman was just sick. And as the events unfold, Millie ends up killing the husband, and this woman says that she'll take the fall for it. And then the police end up coming to question Millie about the whole situation, saying that this woman is actually blaming Millie for the murder. And yeah, now we are at part 2, and we're getting this wife's perspective on it, which is the exact same formula in book 1, where we got the wife's perspective, and she's like, guys, I'm not actually the bad one here. Listen to my side of the story. And yeah, it's the exact same thing. Something else is, once again, Millie is having two guys sort of fight for her, or not necessarily fight for her, but she's in this relationship with the lawyer, like I had mentioned. And I'm not sure if I had mentioned that she also, before, like in this time period that we never got to see between book 1 and book 2, she actually has a relationship with the landscaper. So like from the first book, she's, dating the rich husband, but she also has this crush on the landscaper. And so after, everything with the rich husband goes down, she ends up moving on to the landscaper. They have a relationship. Now we have this book where she's with the lawyer. They have this perfect relationship, but then the landscaper comes back into the picture. His name is Enzo, by the way. He went to Italy to take care of his sick mom, and now he is back. So once again, Millie has like this, I don't know, I like these two guys, oh no, sort of thing going on, and it's just very weird. For a thriller book to have this sort of love triangle and both of them, it's very weird to me. I don't like it. I don't like these whole relationship things going on. It's very weird to me. But either way, when she does have to talk to her lawyer boyfriend about her past, because obviously she is a suspect in this murder case now, he's obviously very unhappy with it because she kept it a secret that she went to prison for murder, and now she's the suspect of a murder case and asking him to be her lawyer. So yeah, there's obviously some, things like that. I still don't like Millie as a character. I just don't think she's a good character. If you know the person you're going to be with who is in love with you, and you aren't in love with them, because she says it multiple times that she just likes him. She never wants to say I love you or move in or do anything with him. She's constantly blowing him off, not telling him things, lying about where she is. So it makes sense that we've come to this point where he just doesn't trust her and doesn't like her past, because why would he when she's kept all of this stuff from him? And yeah, which means she now wants to go back to the landscaper, because he knew everything that was going on. He helped her with all this stuff. It's just all very weird to me. But yeah, I don't like formulaic things like that. I knew this was going to be so similar to the first one, and I just don't like that one bit. But here we are. I have about 100 pages left to go in this one, so I will definitely be finishing it. You know, we have the third book. I don't know what's going to happen. I believe it's only a trilogy, so it should have some sort of ending to it, which I'm not gonna lie, I'm looking forward to the series ending. But as far as prediction goes, truthfully, I don't care about what happens in this one. But for book 3, my predictions, do I have any? No. I would like it to not follow Millie, or for her to just leave, go somewhere else. I don't like her. I don't want to follow her anymore. I'm so tired of her. Also, I don't understand the covers of these books having the little keyhole with an eye peeking through, because even in the first book, when she was in the attic, anytime she wanted to eavesdrop on something, she would just stand at the top of the stairs. She was never peeking through like a little keyhole or anything. And in this book, she also isn't doing that. Like, the lady who she works for, who doesn't leave the room, she actually cracks open the door and is like looking through the crack of the door, not through a keyhole. So I really don't understand these covers. But maybe that's like in book 3, I don't know. I just don't understand the covers of these books, and that also upsets me, because when she eavesdrops, she just stands there. She'll go right up to the door, she'll stand at the top of the stairs, she'll make herself known. People will just look at her and be like, why are you eavesdropping? I don't get it. Those are my feelings. I'm really not enjoying this one. Alright, day 2 and book number 2 is done. This one was very, not necessarily predictable, but followed the exact same formula as the first one. Guess what? Millie is not the bad person. She was doing the right thing. The person we thought was the bad person, aka the woman trapped in the room, was actually the bad person all along. Who could have guessed that one? Yeah, the whole plot of this one was basically that this rich woman, the one who was locked in the room, she was married to this really rich guy, and he pretty much like didn't have the same lifestyle as her. Like, he wasn't very fit. He didn't really want to use all his money and be super extravagant. She did. So she ended up starting an affair with another guy, aka the dude who hired Millie and was pretending to be this rich husband. He wasn't actually the rich husband. And then, you know, this rich lady was like, we're just going to frame Millie for murdering her husband. That way, you know, she can then get all of his money and live out her dreams of being this rich woman. And yeah. So once again in this book, we have cheating. We have rich people doing really dumb rich stuff and wanting this sort of perfect life. And again, 2 dudes who both are in love with Millie for whatever reason, because she's still not a good person. I don't like her. I know she's doing like good things and that she's helping women get out of bad situations. I don't hate her for that. I just think she's an annoying character. But yeah, book 2 is done. I don't really know what I'm going to rate this one. Probably a 2-star as well. But it is what it is. We are now going to move on to The Housemaid is Watching. Once again, still don't know what is going on with the cover of these books. I don't get it. Someone please explain it to me. Because she's also not really watching anything. She's really hasn't been doing just like a lot of spying or watching. That's like not her thing. She sort of just jumps to conclusions all the time. But either way, I'm going to be starting this one. It is only 5 o'clock, so I do have a lot of this night left. But I probably won't update till tomorrow anyways, because I doubt I'm going to have anything very poignant to say about this book because I don't have high hopes for it. But this one is the longest one so far, so we're going to see how it goes. I'm going to start reading it, and I will update you guys later. It's day 3. I'm on to the 3rd book. I am 150 pages of the way through The Housemaid is Watching, and this one is a bit different already, which I will say I enjoy a bit more. So this one takes place 11 years after the end of book 2. We have Millie and Enzo, who are married with 2 children now, and they're now moving into a fancier neighborhood. They're moving out of their very sketchy New York City apartment. They're moving into the suburbs, and they have some weird neighbors. And this one is a lot more of like a family drama so far, in that Millie and Enzo are sort of working through a lot of challenging like couple relationships. We once again have sort of a cheating plot line in that Millie is worried about Enzo cheating with one of her very hot neighbors. And so we have that sort of drama. We have some health issues going on with Millie. And then, obviously they have 2 kids. They're, figuring out parenthood and all of that stuff. And, that's like a big part of what this book is so far. Obviously, there is going to be some kind of murder or something. I do have a prediction, so I am just going to say that now. I think that the bad person is going to be Jonathan. So Jonathan is one of their neighbors. He is married to this hot woman. I believe her name was Suzanne or something like that, that Enzo is constantly involved with in some way, that Millie is scared of him cheating with this hot neighbor. And so yeah, she has a husband named Jonathan. I feel like he's going to be the bad guy in this book just because he is so far said to be like one of the more innocent neighbors, according to Millie. Also, one of the things that annoy me about this book is that Millie is constantly saying that she has such a sixth sense for neighbors and like people in general, about like what's going on and who is sketchy, and like she really doesn't, because the past 2 books, the person who's been bad, she has gotten wrong this entire time. So unreliable narrator, obviously, but yeah, my guess is that it's going to be him, and somehow he's going to be dead by the end of the book, because obviously the bad guy is going to die. So yeah, that is my guess on the plot of this book. My other complaint about this one that I didn't have in the first 2 books is that the writing has gotten really repetitive. Millie is constantly talking about the exact same things over and over again, and it's very annoying to read. And I've also been switching off to listen to the audiobook, and it's even more annoying that way. The audiobook for the 3rd one, I would not recommend just because of that. So there's like certain things that Millie will say that she will constantly say. So her one daughter, Ada, is, I want to say 11. But Ada is considered to be this very good kid, no problems, very smart, reliable. And Millie is always constantly talking about that. How much Ada looks like Enzo, how smart and responsible she is, how she never has to worry about her. She's just constantly talking about this. It's like she has nothing else to say about her daughter except these things. And it's just so annoying. And yeah, there's a couple other things. Specifically, her son has a praying mantis. She's constantly repeating things about that. It's very annoying, her distrust for her husband, but since all of these books have to have some semblance of cheating in them, I'm really not surprised. I do think this book has a bit more merit to it, considering it's a bit more of a domestic thriller, and it's not hinging on these sort of mystery plot lines, and we're kind of just in these people's lives. So I will say there's that I enjoy a bit more. But this is the longest book in the series. They have progressively gotten longer, and this one is almost 400 pages, which I highly doubt needs to be that long, but we'll see by the end. Maybe I'll be proven wrong, but I doubt it. I do have higher hopes that this one will be a bit better, so I'm going to continue reading and we'll see how it goes. I just wanted to come on and make a little update because I'm now on chapter 33, and the last chapter I just read ended off with Millie Googling to see if her son is a psychopath. And so once again we have Millie over here just thinking everyone has mental health problems and stuff. This is just after her son got in a fight with someone after losing a baseball game, which is such an interest. Millie has such an extremist kind of thinking of everything being black and white, and I just find that very interesting that, you know, her son has now gotten into 2 fights at this point over pretty much nothing. And so now she is going to the worst possible thing, that her son is a psychopath. And yeah, again, I'm not really a fan of mental health being used in such a way for a plot point or to try and make her son look suspicious. I'm not a fan of it, and I did want to bring that up so that you all are aware of that going into this book. But yeah, I'm gonna continue reading this book and we'll see how it goes. Alright, I am finally finished with The Housemaid is Watching. Still no clue why this is chosen as the cover of the little keyhole, because in this entire story, all the people watching are like looking out of the windows. So again, not really sure what the whole keyhole thing is, but I digress. I actually have to say that out of the 3 books, this is probably my favorite plot-wise. I thought it was a bit more interesting than the last ones. Definitely a lot more of a domestic thriller in this one versus the other ones, but yeah, I did enjoy this one just a tiny bit more than the other ones, but I'm still giving it a 2-star. Again, the writing really repetitive. I still don't like the characters. Millie, I don't like her as a character. Just not a fan of what she says about knowing people and just having the sixth sense. So untrue. She gets everything wrong in this book, and it is so annoying. But either way, I was correct that Jonathan, the dude next door, was in fact the bad one. He did end up dead, and I didn't necessarily guess that it was Ada who had ended up killing him. So Millie's daughter, Ada, was the one who killed Jonathan, because this guy was a bit of a pervert. He was messing around with Nico, Millie's other son, Ada's brother, and so yeah, Ada ended up killing him, and I thought that was a fairly good plot twist that it was Ada who ended up killing him. I honestly was kind of predicting that it was Nico who just got fed up with him, ended up killing him, but either way, yeah, the plot of this one definitely a bit better, but still a formulaic in the way that I did guess who it was, just because Freida McFadden just has this very distinctive plot points that she has to hit in all 3 of these books. I don't know about her other books, definitely not going to be reading any more of her books, but yeah, I'm finally finished with this, finally finished with the whole series. So I finished this entire trilogy in 3 days. I did give all of them 2 stars. Very predictable. I definitely understand why so many people like them. This author is like the Colleen Hoover of mystery thrillers, so I definitely understand the appeal of them, the ease of them, the sort of popcorn reads that they are. Definitely not my thing, and I do think reading them back to back is definitely not the way to go, just because if you had more time in between them, you wouldn't necessarily pick up on how repetitive and how similar the plot points are. Yeah, I do think that there is some good element to these books, just a bit too predictable. Definitely not my style of writing, but again, I definitely understand why so many people enjoy these books. But that is it for this reading vlog. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hopefully it wasn't too much of a downer and it was sort of interesting getting to see my opinions on these books. I did really want to like them. I definitely want to point that out, that I was really hoping to love these books as much as everyone else does. But thank you all so much for watching this video. If you liked it, definitely give it a thumbs up, subscribe, comment whatever you feel like commenting, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye!